Hello and welcome to this quick tutorial about how to read What the Ladybird Heard to Under Fives. And voila, here it is. You probably know this story or you might have come across it somewhere. It's written by Julia Donaldson, a very famous and established child author in England. And her books are very popular amongst under fives. And the reason I've chosen it is, of course, it's very well written and it has also beautiful pictures in it. But I'm basically just trying to give you an idea of all the opportunities for learning that arise from reading a picture book like this. And of course, you can apply some of the tips and suggestions I give for this book to other picture books out there. So, please feel free to use these tips when reading other picture books as well. So, let's go right into it. First of all, I just quickly want to discuss with you what's important when reading with under fives. So please make sure that you take time to read. Make sure there are no distractions, you're not in a hurry, you're comfortable and relaxed with your reader or your readers, and just really take the time to discuss the book, read the book, and really be focused on it as well. It's very important. The child will realize if you are not paying full attention. When you're going through a book, always try to read it slowly and clearly and look at the pictures carefully. The pictures are a key to the learning as well when reading picture books. And you can get great discussions going or repetitions going by looking at pictures and repeating key vocabulary, asking questions, all these opportunities there when looking at pictures with children. If your child or reader is interested in letters and they recognize some and they point them out while you're reading the story, please feel free to talk with your reader through it and maybe sound out the letters like k, at for cat, or ask your reader to name the letters and maybe also start segmenting and blending words if they are at that level already. But I will go into more detail on a later slide. So before we go into what we can do with the story, really, here are some important features of this book. So as you can imagine, there are lots of farm animals in the story. So great opportunities there in terms of key vocabulary. So lots of animal names and animal noise opportunities. You can always make sure that the reader is actively involved in the story. So you can let them do the animal sounds, or you can point at the animal and let them name the animal. All these opportunities there. You can also go through repetition a lot, which is very important, especially at this age. And also if your reader, for example, has English as an additional language, the repetition is key to remembering words and vocabulary that is mentioned in the book. Also linked to the pictures, of course, which helps the visual memory, of course. So yes, allow your reader and your child to be actively involved in the story, even in the sequencing. And there are lots of directions in this book. We will have a look at it in a minute. So words like left, right, around. So also great opportunities here to get the reader actively involved by maybe following the directions, executing it physically, or tracing them with his hand in the book. But we will have a look at that now as we go into the actual story. So I have a video here, hopefully. Yes. So let's see, it should open. And you can find these fantastic readings of the book on YouTube. Here it is. If you go to Kitty Winks, that's the channel on YouTube, they have these amazing readings and recordings of mainly Julia Donaldson books from what I've seen so far. So let's have a look at it now so you get an idea.
What the Ladybird Heard by Julia Donaldson. Read by Alexander Armstrong. Once upon a farm lived a fat red hen, a duck in a pond, and a goose in a pen, a woolly sheep, a hairy hog, a handsome horse, and a dainty dog, a cat that meowed, and a cat that purred.
Okay, so here you can see great rhyming, first of all, hen, pen, hog, dog. So these are opportunities for you to, let, for example, your reader finish the rhyme if they can, if they are at that level. Or you could sound it out. So, for example, you read, once upon a farm lived a fat red hen, a duck in a pond, and a goose in a n. And then let your reader blend the word orally. Also, another great feature here, if you are deciding to watch this video, you can activate the subtitles, and then when you read it,
A fine prize cow, and a ladybird. And the cow said, moo, and the hen said, cluck. Hiss, said the goose.
so you get the idea here that while they are reading the story, you can also get the subtitles for your reader to see the actual words that are being read when they are actually being read. So this is just another support here to give you an idea of maybe how to support the reading skills when looking at this picture book. So another feature in the book is, as I said before, lots of animal sounds: moo, cluck, hiss, quack. So lots of opportunities also for your reader to actively engage in the story by making the animal sounds, of course. I won't show the whole video now. I just want to quickly go to the part where you can see the directive language, because we talked about it earlier. So here we are.
At dead of night.
So here you can see that the thieves have a plan to steal the cow, and they are using different directions to plan how to get to the cow. So and again, lots of rhyming here as well, which is great. So lots of very different language types and language opportunities to use with your reader. Okay, now let's move on because
Pass.
there are lots of other tips to go through still. Um, Now that you get an idea of the story, I want to go through what different activities could arise during reading the story or even after reading the story. So we've already spoken about, doing the animal noises. You could find rhyming animal names, even with nonsense words, just to emphasize the rhyming. So what rhymes with dog? We had hog in the story, but the reader could make up other nonsense words with that. Um, Sequencing, the last part of the story where the ladybird basically describes the whole path of the thieves and how they're going to try and get to the cow. Um, and after the book, you could always, sing nursery rhymes that link to the farm animal topic, such as Old MacDonald's Had a Farm, which is a great song. Also, again, reinforcing these animal noises and animal names, just repeating the key vocabulary basically. Um, Now we talked about the descriptive and positional language, and you could, actively engage your reader by allowing them to execute those movements while reading the story, and maybe them being the thieves. Um, you could also let them repeat the trail of the thieves by maybe letting them draw it on a map again, or you know just maybe pretending that they are the thieves after having read the book. Um, then the use of verbs. There are lots of verbs, of course, in this book, and they offer great opportunities to copy actions. So, for example, the thieves tiptoe into the farm, and then, of course, your reader could also tiptoe. Um, Let the reader be a character. So we've already discussed this here. They could be a character in the story. It doesn't have to be the thieves, could also be the ladybird. And then they can also repeat key phrases in the story, which is also a very good opportunity to reinforce the key vocabulary and key language here. Now, if your reader is already at a level where they can recognize letters and read them even, or name them, of course, give them opportunity to do so. I told you in the video you can use the subtitles, so that's another opportunity for them to have a look at the words in the story. And maybe read some simple CVC words like cat or dog, so d or g, or you can sound it out for the reader, and then they can blend it together with you. So you say d or g, and then they try to put it together. D or g, dog. Yeah, and it helps to sort of use your fingers to show the process as well. But we have to be careful here because not all words are basically pure sounds. For example, in R, we don't really hear the E at the end, so we can't really sound it out, and this can be confusing for children. So always just use CVC words that really have pure sounds in them. CVC words are consonant, vowel, consonant words. They mostly have pure sounds in them. Okay, let's move on. Now here I want to give you some follow-on activities to choose. Now there's a great wealth of activities to use after you've read the story with the readers. Um, I have chosen a few ones, but I will always develop a guide for every book that I review, containing even more bonus materials and bonus suggestions. So I will have that on my blog as well for you available. Now here I've chosen Twinkle and Tess because they have really, really well done and edited resources, so mostly they don't contain any errors or mistakes in spelling and so forth. And they have really good resources that you can also print. Um, and I just personally think they are of very good quality if you use them right. So here you can use the Ladybird's Journey Bee-Bot game, for example. Now that's more for schools, I suppose, if they have bee-bots. But you could also, use this to just go through the directions again and maybe have the animals walk along different paths to just repeat that vocabulary about going left and right and straight and backwards and around and over and under, things like that. So, but you can of course also use puppets for this. And here we have Ladybird Spot's sensory recipe. So they always have great ideas as well for messy play related to the story. And I quite like that because, of course, for under fives, it's very important to have sensory experiences linked to the story to also reinforce and repeat the key vocabulary and link it to sensory experiences, which will improve their memory as well. Now, the thing with Twinkle and Tess is you might have to pay for it, depending on the resources that you choose. So here I have also a link provided for you with free ideas. Um, so you will also find these links in my bonus materials, and you can click on them when you need them to open the websites. Now, about the learning environment, which is always very important. Um, if you have a farm small play or role play area, or you have at home farm animals, farm puppets, or whatever, great resources and props to go through the story again, and you know pl- role play the story again using the key phrases in it. Um, you can also find produce in your household that come from the farm and discuss them because children are very curious about everything. And if that comes up maybe during reading the story or maybe at dinner time, you could discuss this. Okay, what are we eating today and what comes from the farm? A great resource for that is also YouTube because they often have great videos on there showing how milk is, well, not produced, but how farmers get the milk and how they process it, how butter is made, how cheese is made, all these things. So great resources on YouTube, of course, as well, to go into more detail. And another great activity is to do sound lottos, farm animal sound lottos. So I've got a link here, which I will have on my bonus materials, and it will lead you to a great free interactive game on a website where you can do a sound lotto of animal sounds. Now, what I said earlier, it's always great to answer the reader's questions and go into more detail about them afterwards. Um, so if your reader has come up with some questions during the story, there are great talking points in the story about farming, growing, habitats, being a hero, of course, because the ladybird is tiny, but she saves the day basically. Crime, theft, because there are thieves in the story, and maps. As you saw, they use a map. Um, but there could be so many other talking points emerging depending on what your reader is interested in. Um, Maybe something that is based on their personal experience. And of course, also use your own experiences because that's what children love to relate to as well. So please don't just read the book and then forget about it. Try to use it to talk about different things. Um, so, yeah, let's just go here, and that was it. Yeah, so I hope this was useful for you, this tutorial, and I hope it gave you some ideas about how to use this picture book, but also maybe how to use some of the suggestions for other picture books that you think they might apply to. And um, I thank you for your attention. And as I said, for more materials, links, and bonus stuff, please go to my blog, www.littlebookfairy.com. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.